Hello there, this is David from David Books and Comics, and today I'm going to talk about these novels. They're all interconnected as they were written, of course, by the same writer, uh, Denny O'Neal. Of course, the first novel was written by James Barrie and Denny O'Neal. They are connected by the common thread of characters that were created in the first novel, Dragon's Fist, Kung Fu Master, it says there. Richard Dragon and Dragon's Fists. I think it was meant to be a series, but eventually it came out, of course, in comic book. And the story, Dragon's Fists, of course, is covered by the first 4 issues of the Kung Fu Fighter, Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter series, put out by DC Comics back in the 1970s, 1975. So Richard Dragon and Lady Shiva are all characters that were created, of course, by Denny O'Neal. The first novel, of course, introduces us to Richard Dragon, a rich kid who eventually discovers the wisdom of the ancient sages of the Far East. And he experiences like a radical conversion. Dragon is trained in the martial arts, and I think Kung Fu in particular is mentioned only once, maybe twice in the novel. All the other martial arts are mentioned, and but like I said, Kung Fu is rarely mentioned. And he sets out in this adventure to save a girl named Carolyn, who was kidnapped by a group of sadistic, deadly killers. These guys are all led by a vile psychopath called the Swiss, and he's depicted really well by Jack Kirby in the second issue of Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter. Another Denny O'Neal creation, Denny O'Neal and Wally Wood Riccostrada, is Lady Shiva. She is prominent in the Batman Knightfall sequence, which first appeared in the comic books, of course, in Batman number 484 to 490, actually 484 to 500, and in Detective Comics 654 to 666. The entire adventure, Nightfall and Night's End, was all comprised in that book by Denny O'Neal, who was the editor, author and editor of Batman comics. So Batman Nightfall is an excellent read. Lady Shiva plays a prominent role after Bane breaks Batman's back. It is Lady Shiva who is given the task of retraining Batman and helping him to heal. In the third novel you see there, called Helltown, also written by Denny O'Neal, we are given the backstory of the origin of the question, Vic Sage. It is Professor Rodor. In the novel, he's named as Aristotle Rodor, and that's a nod to the objectivism of Dick Tracy, Steve Ditko, and Ayn Rand. So Professor Rodor is also the guy who invents that mist and that faceless mask that the question uses. And he helps Vic Sage in his investigation of the corruption in Hub City. Richard Dragon also appears in the novel Helltown. And he's the one who trains Vic Sage after he's beaten up in his first foray into Hub City. Vic Sage is beaten up by these goons, which almost to the point of death. And it's actually Lady Shiva who makes an appearance also in this novel, in the Helltown novel. And trains is far superior in martial arts to describes in the novel that she is far superior in the martial arts to Richard Dragon. So Vic Sage is the one who is also helped by a mysterious benefactor who we discover is Batman. And he helps the Question deal with the corrupt politicians of Hub City, which is somewhere not far from St. Louis, we're told in the novel. St. Louis, Missouri. Hub City is a corrupt city with psychopathic politicians. O'Neal, Denny O'Neal, is very faithful to Ditko's creation, Vic Sage. The Question, who has to deal with sick politicians who control Hub City inside and out. Vic Sage gives a hard-boiled kind of deadpan delivery when he's dealing with his employer at the local TV station. The Question, as created by Steve Ditko in the pages of Charlton Comics, is homaged with great respect, where Vic Sage's integrity, which is shines through that first issue of Mysterious Suspense, that long, very wordy comic book that we see here, where the Vic Sage's his philosophy of objectivism and moral superiority, integrity is beautifully highlighted. It's what's highlighted, I think, is his sense of right and wrong, and his need to get rid of corruption and evil. Won't say more unless I spoil the story, but each of the three novels reads like a trilogy. The Helltown retcons the story of the Question and gives a background into his power, his energy, and his unadulterated, what's the word? Uncompromising. That's the word. Uncompromising integrity. It does convey that kind of black and white world that you see in the pages of the Charlton Comics Question. Beautifully done, and all three novels, because of the link with the characters, especially the characters he created, Richard Dragon, Lady Shiva, we get a good background into the kind of superhero adventures that really appeared back in the pages of Charlton. And the Helltown almost reads like an excellent denouement to the stories, the three novels. And all three novels, written by Denny O'Neal, flow almost like a trilogy. So they're well worth the read if you ever get a chance to get all three of them together. Read them as one, and I think you won't be disappointed. I read Batman Knightfall, read Helltown. He does an excellent job in novelizing the comic books, basically. but his characters are not three-dimensional. They're very human. And like I say, almost, especially in Helltown, you see the character of Vic Sage portrayed almost in a deadpan, kind of hard-boiled, Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett kind of style. Thoroughly enjoyable stories and novels. So I hope you enjoyed this short presentation on the books of Denny O'Neal, which I've collected and enjoyed over the years. I like his style of writing, but also his depth in terms of looking at evil and corruption and not being pretentious in the way he conveys a story. All right. And remember to give me that thumbs up, the like, share the videos if you want. And thanks everyone for your subscriptions. Okay. Bye.